like to talk about something that I know that I struggle with, and I'm not sure if anybody else struggles with. It's the subject of power. I've learned in the last year that there's some situations you just don't have any. There's some things that you just don't have any control over, and that's something that really freaks me out. I don't like not having control over a situation. I suffer from something called hypervigilance. Incidentally, so does Josh Milner and other people in this congregation that I'm not going to name. But we suffer from something called hypervigilance. We walk into a room, I want to know the way out, and I want to know where my gun is. And
I think I got that too.
I don't think it's anything bad. I just think, but it's something we suffer from, and at least I do. And I, Josh sleeps with his AR-15. I don't know if it's a love affair, if it's something that he actually wants to be next to. But I myself suffer from I don't like not being in power, and I don't like not being able to control a situation. That really freaks me out. With my dad passing, I realized that I have no power over any of any situation. I'm 22 years old. I don't know how to, be an executor of a will or, so on and so forth. But I'm going to do my best. But I realized that I don't have much power to control somebody else's life. The last time I talked to my father, I told him I'd pray for him. He laughed at me. I told him, he said, "Yeah, I'll come to church with you." He laughed at me. And so it's tough. That's a tough situation. But I realized that I have no power over anybody else's decisions. I can't walk down the aisle and be baptized for you. I can't walk down the aisle and give my heart to Christ for you. But that's my struggle with power. I've always struggled with that. The worldview of power is a little different. What is power in the world is money. Money is power in the world. Everybody knows that. Anybody that's got money thinks they've got all the power, but actually they've got none. Remember, Solomon had all the money and wisdom in the world, but he still didn't have as much power as God. He didn't have that kind of power. And I'd like to read something from you. Romans, which happens to be my favorite book in the Bible. I've heard it said, actually, that if you get into Romans, God will get into you. Romans chapter 1, verse 15. Thus, for my part, I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. For in it, the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, but the righteous man shall live by faith. But Romans verse 16 is what I want to concentrate on. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God. That word there is in the Greek is dunamis. We get our words dynamic, dynamo, and dynamite from it. So the gospel is God's dynamite. The gospel is God's dynamite. And what is the gospel in three simple words, somebody? The death, burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Paul was not ashamed to preach just the death, burial, and resurrection. It reveals God's love for us, and our stubborn hearts are broken as His precious love comes into us, and we're almost constrained to love Him. So this morning, we're not only showing the death of Christ, but we're showing the power of God.